So there was a technical error. There always has been and always will be, of course. But I noticed a technical error in my last video that I wanted to address really quick. Is the pegs are equidistant. I don't know why I fumbled on this particular analogy because I got it right otherwhere um, in the somewhere else in that talk, but not at that part where I, for some reason, said that the pegs are not equidistant, but they are equidistant. They're equidistant, and that's what makes it the case that the architect builds their own individual matrix, and that isn't built for humans. It's built just for that individual. So if an individual deviates, for example, into some weird ass fucking alien ass type of way of thinking, a crazy view, they can. And I think that that's what happens with psychosis, is that a human has triggered some kind of, it's not necessarily an error, it's just a way of thinking that cannot be integrated with other humans thinking. So, like, it's like living in a dream because I'm the only one in that world, and everyone else is like dream characters in my world because it's just me, and then I see images of other people on the outside, but that's what makes it like a dream. It's like I'm the only one that can lucidly move around, but everybody else is stuck in their programming. They're not actually real people, they're dream people, they're dream characters. Well, that changes when I start having more people in my life, and in those moments that they're in my immediate vicinity and I feel connected to them and all that stuff. Then I don't have that feeling. But when I'm alone, then I start slipping. There's no more track. The tires are bald. It's just spinning. The wheels are spinning, but the car ain't moving. Like, I see the fucking wheels spinning like mad, but it's going nowhere. It's not going anywhere. It's just same old shit. Screeching fucking tires. That's what craziness is. That's what psychosis is screeching tires. Your revolutions per minute on the engine is running fast as hell. So as far as the engine knows, it's screaming down the fucking highway. But everybody else around it is like, okay, are you gonna go? Are you gonna get some traction? Are you gonna go somewhere? And no, it's the miles per hour is zero, but the revolutions per minute, the RPMs, are way off the charts. That's what psychosis is. Like, your brain is still running, but it's either running too fast so that by the time that your thought tries to come out of your mouth, there's been like 5 changes already. So it comes out in a jumbled, garbled mass of half or part sentences. Sometimes only one word out of each sentence of thought that they had in their head makes it through their mouth before the next thought comes in, and then they have to say that. It's too fast for them to be able to structure it in a logical way. It starts to become noise. It starts to become a mishmash of noise that they transmit through their mouth. But in their head, there is something going on. It's just that we can't see it because by the time it tries to get transmitted, it becomes garbled. So it's really difficult to describe, like, what each individual's going to go through during psychosis, but everyone knows what a psychotic person would look like, a generic one. Like, it's somebody that's going to be yelling at a building or something like that, or it's going to be somebody that tells me that they believe the CIA implanted a listening device in their tooth. It's some weird ass thing that's like, I mean, I guess that could be true, but it's so bizarre that I'm almost positive that that's not true. I'm pretty sure that the CIA did not plant a chip in your tooth, but I can't disprove it, so maybe they did, and it's that type of shit, and that's what brings on psychoses, and that means that the person is somewhere they are at home. It's just that they're not at home, but they're somewhere. There is a person. They're just not at home. They're like off somewhere else that they shouldn't be. And so it's not that there's no one home because there never was. It's not because there's no person there at all. It's because the person is gone. They're somewhere. We just don't know where they are. There's still a person there. There's still a person. It's just that they aren't there. You know, like they're somewhere else. So, like, you'll say some shit to them and they'll be like, but that's not the way it is, because in their world it's the same thing but backwards. It's like, no, oh, they're crazy because they don't know that the CIA implanted a listening device in my tooth, and they think that I'm crazy because they're crazy. Okay. And so then they go and they do their thing, and they still will operate and function like a person. They'll try to rationalize things, but they're rationalizing it in a bent ass way. It's still a rationalization, but it's bent, because it's bent around this idea that they have that the CIA implanted a listening device in their tooth, or whatever it is that they particularly have that makes them crazy, that started them off on this crazy path. And the trick to curing someone's psychosis is, first you have to isolate what that is, the seed crystal, whatever it is, whatever the idea is that branched off of and became this mutated fucking crazy thing. Because they'll have a crazy mutated story, and you'll ask them, what about your life before that? Well, according to that time in my life, I operated like this. And if they're still with it enough to be able to describe that to you, then you're pretty much all the way home. All you have to do is just try to figure out how to get them back there. And so then it's like, okay, well, what if we try to put the environment back to the way the environment was back then? And it's like, well, yeah, that might facilitate it, possibly. It's probably part of the equation, but it certainly isn't all of it. And then you could look at, okay, well, what axiom or premise did you suddenly start to believe in that made it so that all the rest of this worldview changed into something that most people would consider to be crazy, or what you could call at least not normal or not average, and and then if the person's psychotic delusion goes on long enough, eventually they'll start to say, well, maybe everybody has these. They'll have like so many of these like reasons that they believe it. They'll start accumulating them, and they'll find any evidence that seems to support their claim, and they'll just go out and desperately find more and more and more and accumulate it. And yet they'll disregard all the evidence that goes against it. And if you try to show them evidence that goes against it, they'll dismiss it, and they'll say no because blah 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 blah. Now, it means, unfortunately, that any person can go crazy. And it means that we're all a little bit crazy because we all get shit wrong sometimes. But the trick is that we talk to somebody else about it, and then we have the faith that there is someone home for them, and we trust their judgment. And so we say, okay, well, you said X, I thought it was Y. I asked Sally, Susan, Joe, Mark, Bob, whatever, and after so many of these people that I've asked, most of them say that it's X, even though I thought it was Y. But because most of them that I asked said it was X, then I must be wrong, and so I change it. And that's why we don't usually go crazy if we do that. But the problem is, if we do that, then there could be somebody that's crazy, or some, what would you say, like oligarch, dictator, that commands that everybody lie. And then there'll be that one guy that starts to question in his own head privately, why are they saying that this short stick is longer than the long stick? It doesn't make sense. I'm looking at it and it doesn't make sense. And yet they're saying that that's the case. So I must be crazy. I must be hallucinating. And one of these sticks just looks shorter than the other one to me because there's something wrong with my vision. But clearly, I'm in the wrong because I'm the only one that sees it this way, and no one else around me is saying otherwise. And that's why dictators will do that and tell their subjects, tell their inferior, whatever, population that they are not allowed to question, because if they question openly in public, then it validates that view, and the person is no longer privately questioning it in their head. They can now ask Bob, Sally, Susan, Joe, Mark, whatever, and they can gain that true aggregated statistical average and say, is my answer in agreement with or in contradiction to the natural distribution of the way that it freely, naturally emerges? Or is this statistical distribution flattened by some artificial, man-made, artificial imposition of will, where an oligarch or some, I don't know, weird idea has warped or bent people's statistical average. And you'll notice this is happening because not only will the statistical average move to a new place that it used to not be, which will usually mark the beginning or the origin of this transformation, but also you'll see it widen or flatten, and much lower chance of outliers as it gets more manipulated, and eventually they will totally flatten it out at 100% certainty that it never changes, and that's when you get that one-party system and you've got North Korea. So that does happen. That is a thing, and that's why that happens. And they know this, and they deliberately engineer societies to take advantage of this. And, so it's dangerous information, to say the least.